A few weeks ago, I observed someone entering my house through the newly installed doorbell camera, but I couldn't spot them leaving. Interestingly, the next day, the footage had been erased. This piqued my curiosity, so I took on the role of a detective and started investigating. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Claire, noticed that I had grown suspicious of her behavior. She believed I had discovered some evidence, likely from the recently installed doorbell camera, which she had erased. I was in the process of installing in-home cameras and recording devices. However, she eventually confessed and admitted to an ongoing affair that had lasted about a year, almost the entire time I was away helping my elderly parent in Brighton. Claire acknowledged that I deserved better. She mentioned being fair in our divorce, agreeing to sell our house in Maplewood and split the proceeds. There was a possibility she might end up paying me alimony for some time or a lump sum. We would divide most of the debt, and the house sale was likely to clear that, leaving a little for us to start over. It's really disappointing and feels like such an anticlimax. It's so unfair. I'll admit I let anger build up, and I wanted to get revenge somehow, but there's hardly anyone to expose her to who would even care. On the affair partner's side, there's no one to expose either, since he's single or well divorced, and he seemed to know more about the state of my marriage than I did. Their relationship wasn't even close, and it's possible this wasn't her first time doing this. But I decided not to dwell on it and avoid seeking more hurt. This situation comes at a tough time for me since I'm dealing with elder care issues and just don't have the energy or desire to fight for anything right now. She offered to try and fix things, but we both know there's too much pain and damage between us. Claire knew how broken I still am from being cheated on over 25 years ago, even before we got together. Some wounds never truly heal. I've been questioning whether our whole relationship was just a rebound lately. But I'm someone who's dedicated, and once I commit, I'm all in. Maybe I did that too soon. Now I don't even believe in people or relationships being worth it. I can't see myself trusting anyone ever again. So here it is, no confrontation, no revenge, no exposing, and no reason left. Just two terrible, emotionless lives torn apart. Now I have to figure out how to rebuild myself without my pride and ego. It's just another failure to add to the long list of them in my life. The life I knew was over, and I'm just going through the motions, handling things on autopilot. I don't even want to go home, but I have to pack and get the house ready to sell. Then I'll need to find an apartment, but I don't even know where I want to live. It's all just so lousy. I wasted more than half my life on someone. The road ahead seems like a void, and the only reason I get out of bed is to take care of my parent. At least not having kids is a blessing because once the divorce is done, I won't have to be in contact with her. But that will take time. Every time I hear her voice, it just brings back the pain again. My way of hurting myself is by looking back at all our pictures and reminiscing about the otherwise good times we had. I just don't understand why I'm so stuck in the past, mourning something I thought I was ready to leave anyway. I lie awake at night analyzing everything I did wrong and feeling like I was never good enough for anyone. I question why I deserve to be treated poorly and why my life is so crappy. It feels like I'm always on the losing end. Now I'm old, broken, and feel undeserving of this crappy life. I have no hopes and dreams, just alone in my own thoughts. More thoughts from later last night. She hasn't even reached out to me since I left, even though I told her not to. I meant it, and I guess she knew that. But there hasn't been a single sorry or are you okay from her. Is she just sitting at home acting like it's just a regular Tuesday? Or maybe not. During the Christmas before last, we were discussing how we ended up with a dead bedroom. I mentioned that about 10 to 15 years ago, we went through many premature births from IVF. After that, I was scared of getting too close to her because I was terrified of accidentally getting her pregnant and going through that loss again. It led both of us to need mental health help, and we only got out of our deepest depressions with support and luck. Now I know I made things worse. After she confessed to cheating for about a year, I said something really nasty, telling her she deserved to lose all of our kids because of the person she is. I'm considering sending her an apology text for that statement, but do you think that mentioning my fears from back then over a year ago made her flash back to that painful time and then led her to cheat on me? I only ever told my therapist about my fears, and we discussed ways to overcome them. We decided it wasn't the right time to bring it up with my wife. Maybe she blames me for our years of intimacy issues. Maybe it's all my fault. Oh God, what have I done? After thinking about it and probably against better judgment, I called her. I knew she probably wouldn't answer, so I left a voicemail apologizing for what I said. I admitted it was hurtful and not true. I'm sorry we ended up here, but I know it's over. Let's handle this like mature adults, not like the 20-somethings we were when we met. I told her I hope she finds what she needs and left it at that. Last night, Claire called me. She appreciated my apology and knew I said those things to hurt her. We didn't talk much, just some apologies and blah, blah, blah. I mentioned I'll be coming home this weekend but need her not to be there. It was mostly civil, but I made it clear I don't care where she goes. I even suggested she stay with her boyfriend since that's who she wanted anyway. Of course, she denied it and kept saying she wants me back and that we can work things out. She pleaded for one chance, saying she's never done anything like this before and will do anything to make it up. I have to admit, all I want is to go back in time to any moment from the past year or even the worst times in our lives instead of now. But this time, I stood my ground and told her I don't see a way for us to be together now. A whole year has passed, and I can't imagine feeling the same way for her. I only asked one question about it: how many times? She stayed silent for a while, but I didn't say anything. Finally, she asked if I really wanted to know because she didn't want to hurt me even more. I just said I need to know, and that's when she shattered me even more. She said it was only a few times in the beginning, but after about a month, it became almost every day I was away and even some weekends for about 6 months. In the last few months, it was about once or twice a week when I was away. I felt sick, so I muted the call to let out some of the pain. She had intimacy with him more times in a year than we've had in the past 10 to 15 years, maybe even more than in the beginning of our relationship. It was like hundreds of times. I wanted to ask more questions, like if he was better, bigger, or what they did. I wanted to know what he did that I couldn't, but I couldn't bear it anymore. I just told her to go to him this weekend so I could be alone at home and sort through my important things. I don't even have a permanent place to take my things. I've been awake and got a bottle of good scotch. Now I have to work and take care of my parent while dealing with a hangover. So as we had agreed, I went back to the house to gather some things. Thankfully, she's nowhere in sight. I'm collecting some documents I forgot last weekend and then packing clothes and other stuff. It's all going faster than I expected. I've got my AirPods in, playing some good tunes to stay positive. I head to the basement and start packing up a few things from there. It's tough, but I'm determined to keep moving forward before I get too down. As I'm in the basement, I faintly hear the sound of water running in the pipes over the tunes. It goes on for a bit before I notice it. I walk upstairs and hear the shower going. I'm like, what the heck? I decide to make myself a cup of coffee and go out to my car. At first, I thought about driving away, but I end up just sitting in the driveway. I feel stunned by everything that's happening. I start writing a long and nasty text, but then I decide not to send it as evidence of anything. So I just sit there and wait, hoping she'll leave again. While I'm outside, my new neighbor walks by and introduces himself, seeing me standing outside having a smoke. I don't tell him anything, but I try to be friendly. Just as we're about to say goodbye, the garage door opens, and there she is, standing behind her car, asking to speak to me. I have to go through introductions with this new neighbor and my wife. We didn't really talk much, and even the new neighbor could feel the tension and left. Once inside, I was still in shock and just asked her why she was there. She explained that she couldn't check into her new place until later and was at the gym, that darn gym again. She wanted to shower and get some more things. She assumed I wouldn't mind and thought she could come and go without it being a problem. I just stood there, wondering who the heck this person in front of me was. After a brief and awkward apology from her, she suggested we shouldn't be hasty while things are still raw. Maybe we should try more counseling, and she knows we still love each other. Blah, blah. I looked her in the eye and simply said, "No, please leave. I have things to do, and you agreed to stay away." I told her that this is what she caused and then went back to the basement. I'm sitting here now, typing this and trying to control myself and my blood pressure. Thankfully, I just heard the garage door open and close, so she's gone, but I'm still a bit of a mess. I want to get back to packing, but my bourbon collection is staring me in the face. I'll admit I already had one good drink earlier. If I have another this early, today will be even more of a bust. Alright, here's what happened. Sunday came after another night of no sleep, just packing and feeling so miserable. It was all so tough going through memories, pictures, and things we chose together. Our wedding album and other stuff only stirred up more emotions I was trying hard to control. But I pushed through and focused on the things that meant the most to me. Unfortunately, one item hit me the hardest, the sealed urn with our children's ashes. We had planned that when one of us or both passed away, we'd mix our ashes and have a relative scatter them in the ocean by our favorite beach. Well, that plan's obviously off now. But here's the thing, I don't know if it's wrong that I want it with me. I mean, I know I have to talk about this with her eventually, but I have no idea how that'll go. I'm not sure if we can have it opened and split the remains. That just feels wrong, like neither of us would have them. I don't even know if that's possible or a thing. I guess I'll ask my attorney once I hire one. At that point, I didn't mention it to her because my trust in her was below zero. Update, here's what's really going on now. Sunday evening, I'm almost done packing the stuff I'm taking with me for now. I wanted to have enough so that if I couldn't stand to come back for a few weeks, I'd be prepared. I picked some important keepsakes and documents too. We had agreed she'd return after 9, and honestly, I didn't want to be there when she came. I resisted the urge to mess with electronics or the router, just a spider. I felt like for once, I was being the bigger person, thanks to some supportive calls from a friend and messages here and there. So it's around 7, and I'm loading the last bits into my car. Guess what? No surprise here, she shows up, looking a bit shaken but nowhere near as bad as I felt inside. She starts talking about how it seemed like I was ready to leave again and if I could at least talk to her. I was already annoyed that she was there, and I tried to be strong, but I knew it wasn't easy. I told her I didn't want to be too late and I needed to get back in time to relieve the weekend help with my parent. I only had a few minutes, but if there's something important, she can tell me, and if necessary, I can call her while driving. She said she understood and really wanted to talk about what happened this weekend without me getting angry. She claimed she spent the weekend alone, but I'm not sure if I believe that. She was thinking about everything that happened and what she did to us. She knew I couldn't forgive her, but she said she still loves me and will always be in love with me. She knows I don't believe her now, but she's angry with herself for hurting me so badly and destroying the man who loved her unconditionally and was always there for her. I was trying my best not to shout, sob, hug her, or anything, and just gave her a stoic look of indifference. I'll admit I failed. My eyes watered up, but I struggled not to let the tears fall. Yeah, I failed at that too. I didn't really say much. I just listened and hoped to leave after she said what she needed to. I listened to her saying many things and justifications, reasons why she thought she did this for so long, why she didn't stop herself, and why she thought I didn't care or was cheating on her. She thought I must have been cheating for so many years and that we had become like roommates. Despite everything, she still knew I was the only man she wanted to spend her life with. She wanted to confess to me many times, but she knew I would never be able to accept her back if she told me what she did. She kept insisting that it was all her fault and not mine. She said she'd seek counseling to understand why she did all this for so long. She felt our life together was ruined because she had everything she wanted and believed she could live without intimacy. She seemed to have accepted that. She even told me I could be with other people if I wanted, which sounded like typical cheater talk. But then she confirmed my suspicions. She brought up our conversation from the Christmas before last, when she got really angry because I was afraid of being close to her, worried about getting her pregnant again. She thought I used IVF as an excuse and believed I never truly wanted her or a family, especially since I didn't want to adopt. She was upset, feeling that closeness and family were missing from our life, and she blamed me for keeping them from her. She was angry because she thought I blamed her for our child losses and lied about it. She felt I was disgusted by her for losing them and couldn't forgive her. However, she claimed she loved me enough for both of us all those years. When my parent got sick and was out of the hospital, she thought I was using it as an excuse to avoid her. All of a sudden, it clicked in her head, and she realized her worst fears were true. She just wanted to feel loved, but she believed I didn't love her and had been lying the whole time. The so-called gym guy was never even on her radar until all these issues arose. She had never even considered being unfaithful. At first, she wasn't even that emotional with him. She did it out of spite, but then she started missing intimacy and told him it was only about that. She had no intention of leaving me. She claimed she never really talked about me to him, but now I doubt that. Over time, she developed a connection with him and admitted feeling something she hadn't felt in years, though it was nothing compared to what we shared. Eventually, she confessed that it was over with him and hoped I could forgive her and talk to her about finding a way forward, even if we had to split now. She asked if we could take some time before divorcing. She knows what she did was terrible, but she believes I had been dishonest about this for so many years and should give her the chance she deserved. Honestly, I couldn't hold back anymore and blurted out, "Do you seriously think you deserve a chance after a whole year of cheating?" I had shared my deepest fears in therapy, but I never wanted this kind of situation to happen, so I kept them hidden. I tried so hard in the past few years to connect with her, be romantic, and engage, but she hardly acknowledged my efforts. I thought being vulnerable and sharing my deepest secret would bring us closer and show how much I cared, but instead, she used it to cheat and ruin my life. It shattered me, and thoughts of ending everything crossed my mind every day. She admitted she considered it too, but decided against it for my sake. I couldn't hold it in and yelled, "But you could do this to me for a whole year?" After calming down, I told her I could never be open and vulnerable with her or anyone else again. She took my fears, weaknesses, and honesty and used them against me, and it changed me forever. I feared that this revelation was the reason for everything that happened afterward, considering the timing and all, according to her. But I still wasn't sure if I believed her when she said it was her first time doing something like this. I was already about 45 minutes later than I planned to leave. I knew I had to rush up the highway, but I wasn't in the right state of mind anyway. I left, promising to think more about what she said and call her if I had any questions or more to say. But while driving, all I could do was blast some loud music and cry in pain because my thoughts of causing this mess were confirmed. The ride was even more painful than the first one after D-Day. I ended up not calling her again. Now in the clear light of day, I'm wondering if I caused all of this and if she could have seen my posts and used them against me. But to be honest, she's not much into social media, and I doubt she even uses Reddit. It was never on her phone, tablet, or in her app store history. I can't believe I let my guard down with anyone and shared things I shouldn't have. If I had never opened up, maybe I wouldn't be in this mess. It feels like karma because I was thinking of leaving last fall anyway. Now I'm just going through the motions, and it proves I should act like the happy guy and never let my guard down again. I feel like I ruined everything I had. I'm still consulting with my attorney and trying to figure out my path because I don't know how I can come back to her after all of this. The truth is, she just tore my heart open again and destroyed everything I was holding on to keep going. I hired a lawyer to handle our legal stuff. Let me know who they should contact. You should get legal advice for what you did. Claire, can we talk about this and figure out how to handle it? Please call me back. I'm sorry for how you must feel. I know I don't deserve a chance to talk before you make your decisions. Maybe we need some time for things to calm down. I know you probably think better of me than I deserve. I'd like to discuss counseling, but let's do it away from work emails. Can you text or call me? I'll be busy with work and moving. Just wanted to let you know I'll use your personal email from now on. Claire, thanks. Think about what I said. I hope you have someone to talk to. I understand you must feel alone. I know you always take care of others more than yourself. How's Dad doing with the move? Tell him I love him too. I'm really sorry. Call me soon. Love, Claire. I just realized something. Dad is losing everything he owns, his home of 50+ years and all the memories, as he moves to a facility. Can you imagine how a person with dementia feels being moved around like this? How they have to be reminded every day because they forget. Then they have to go through the emotions all over again. I'm trying to handle it gently, but it's tough. We're figuring out what he really wants to keep. After thinking about the conversation more, what really stuck with me was how she talked about not sending stuff to work. At first, I understood, keeping personal stuff separate from work email makes sense. But then I realized she must have used her work phone for this. Her personal phone was always pristine, and I even updated it for her when she got a new watch last Christmas. I guess I could still have overlooked something, though. Anyway, off we go. Update: it's been around a month since my last post about the mess my life and my wife, Claire, have become. I'm sharing this update because things have both improved and worsened at the same time. If you're interested in the whole backstory, you can check my post history for all the details. But to keep it short, my wife of 25+ years cheated on me for about a year while I was away taking care of my elderly parent most of the week. On the bright side, my parent has been in a care facility for a bit over a month now, and they seem to be adjusting pretty well. I visit them often, and they are generally happy to see me and still recognize me most of the time. I've also handled packing and selling all their stuff and hope to close the real estate deal this week. As for me, I found a better place to stay temporarily. I'm crashing at a friend's place who lives close to work. It's working out well for now, and I'd consider getting an apartment right away, but this arrangement is doing the job for the short term. Now let's talk about the rest of it. I did serve Claire with divorce papers, but her lawyer responded in a confrontational way. Recently, I had to deal with a maintenance issue at our old home. It wasn't too serious, but it needed quick attention. Luckily, she wasn't there when I arrived to handle it. I met with the contractor, fixed the problem, and hoped to be gone before she returned. It took a few hours, but I managed to move things around and get it done. But of course, my luck couldn't stay that good. Later that day, I got a call from a doctor saying she had been admitted to the hospital. I'm still her emergency contact and husband, so it wasn't a real surprise. Before I arrived, she had called an ambulance, thinking she was having a heart attack, but it turned out to be a panic attack. However, she also mentioned having constant self-harming thoughts, so they admitted her for observation. She's been there ever since, and I had to call her boss to let them know she'd be out for medical reasons for a while. After talking to the doctor, I realized I needed to go and see her. The doctor said I could visit her since she requested it, but I had to be non-confrontational because she was in a delicate state. I was really confused because I didn't want to visit if it was just the usual cheater script BS. But I still care for her and don't want her to harm herself or struggle to take care of herself in the future. She had been in care for mental health in the past, along with another chronic health issue she's had her whole life. During those tough times, I was there for her 100% and did everything to help her get through it. Also, selfishly, I don't want it to affect our ability to handle our business together. I talked to my friend about it, and they said it's up to me whether I want to visit her or not. I also spoke with my attorney after the first couple of visits. They advised me to be cautious, not make any promises, or say anything that could be used against me, etc. I knew before visiting that cheaters often use attempts to end things as a way to manipulate, but considering her history, I'm aware that this could be a genuine and serious situation she's in. I know, I shouldn't let anything related to her actions suck me in. I don't want to slow down my progress and moving on with my life, but there's a part of me that feels the need to be there for her. It's frustrating that I still have these feelings and wish none of this had happened, but it did. I've tried to be firm with her, but seeing her in such a state might cause setbacks. Now before you jump on my case, I can't just abandon her. It's not in my nature. She really doesn't have anyone else. Her only close friend lives far away and is dealing with her own serious medical condition right now. So, I told her doctor I'd visit her in the hospital and did that the next day. When I got there, she was a mess. I brought some things she might need since it seemed like she'd be there for a few days. When I arrived, she was still sleeping with N4 monitors, but they didn't seem related to mental health. I thought maybe it was dehydration or something. But seeing her sleep brought back memories of how beautiful and peaceful she looked, like the person I used to want. As I sat there watching her, all the anger and betrayal feelings came rushing back, but I kept it together. Eventually, she woke up, and she was surprised to see me. She begged for a hug and forgiveness, but I told her I was there to make sure she was okay and that I was worried about her. I didn't want to talk about us. We managed to be civil about it all, but there were a lot of tears on her side. We talked for a long time, then she dropped another bombshell on me, and it felt like my world was crumbling. During her visit to the gynecologist for STD tests and a checkup, they found something that was still being evaluated. I thought, here we go. She's caught an STD, and I'm going to hear about it. But fortunately, it wasn't that. They found fairly aggressive ovarian cancer. Now, I'm no expert, but I know that type of cancer is usually serious. I had to step out of the room for a moment to collect myself. So many emotions were running through me, and I didn't want her to see that. After gathering myself, we talked for a long time. In our conversation,